of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. And I never been down with no OPP. I talking about selling our people's property. Don't know who doing it, so don't round me out. Don't send no police round me and tell me shush my mouth. Where's our conviction? But where's our pride? We selling everything, selling our backside. Just go online, it'll make you sick. You can buy any island, just point and click. See, they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. Hey, hey. Ride him. My mother always say, when you find a donkey, ride it. Who's the donkey? Huh? Come on. We got a whole nation in 73. Now we getting back the whole country. What kind of fools we must be, selling out for a bag of rice and a cup of tea. You know what does bug me? Help me understand. I can't find piece of property for under 80 grand. But I can fix this, I know what to do. I can squat just like them other people try make me do. See, they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. They're selling our country. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. I get everybody sell some every day. Selling one island, it won't keep. What can be left for you and me? Is this the example? What's our kids to do? You want them have a sense of pride or go selling too? Cause they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. They're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling our whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. They're selling our country, yes man. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling our whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. They're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha.
Whoa, girls, we out doing it?
But it was after the Progressive Liberal Party came to power in 1967. The then premier, the first black premier of the Bahamas, the Prime Minister, the late Lyndon Oscar Pinley, quoted that a Aragonite will be the savior of the Bahamian economy. This was pre-independence. This was shortly after we won majority rule. I spoke to a member of the team that traveled to Ocean Key during this time, and he informed me that they used the term for Aragonite Bahamian goals. And so the expectations were extremely high in terms of how Bahamians would benefit from the production of Aragonite. However, that never happened. Why? All of our minds can go all over the place in terms of trying to figure out why. All of us have our own beliefs as to why.
And so we decided to put on our Sherlock Holmes hat and go digging for the truth. And what we found really disturbed us. Our team, as we said, was able to access a Chaldean meeting. It was a presentation where they were trying to sell our Aragonite.
Hi everyone, this is Allison Myers and my colleague Harold McCurk, and we're from Chaldean Minerals and Materials. We're located in Gadsden, Alabama, and we harvest oolitic aragonite from the Bahamas. It's a renewable and sustainable resource that we use in agriculture as a liming agent, but it's much more than that. So we own the leasing rights for the oolitic aragonite for harvesting it in the Bahamas. We have a 500 square mile lease. And what we do is it's just naturally forms on the banks of the Bahamas, and we harvest it and move it up to Gadsden, Alabama, and also throughout the Midwest through both Trent and Lynn as well.
Now, what she said is very interesting because this meeting took place in April 2020. Why is that interesting? Because the media
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, breaking news, you are rich. That's the headline. You, if you are Bahamian, you are rich. And the other headline is you've had someone stealing from you since you've been alive. You've had somebody stealing your wealth, stealing your country's resources, and trying to steal your future. The good news is we are now on to the trick. And so our job is to make sure that we get it back to you. That's what tonight is about, educating you so you are aware of what's been happening. And then you can decide whether you want them to get the child Sanders cane or you want them to go to jail. Because this is nothing short of criminal, that our country has been doing this for years and our people are still suffering and we are not doing anything. See, in case you don't understand, here's my issue. Here's my issue. The Bahamas, God placed this here. God placed this archipelago of islands here. Strategically, right where it is in the world, because he knew that it would be a literal paradise. He also knew that he would equip in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas everything this nation would need, that its people would be wealthy and not have to depend on anybody for anything. That's why he put fish in the ocean, natural resources in the earth, so that we can be able to have access to our own wealth and not depend on people to give us handouts. That's what the good Lord did for you. That's That's why I always tell people, if you are part of the Bahamas, you are designed by God to be blessed. He blessed you so much to give you a country like this that is so rich. The world knows the riches of the Bahamas. So if you're a Bahamian, your hat's off to you. You are the apple of God's eye. The problem is, we've not been living like that. The problem is, we've not operated in our God-given kingdom authority. Why? Because we thought only pirates were stealing from us. We thought only the British were stealing from us, and didn't recognize that people who were stealing from us were right among us. Because they recognized the wealth when they got into powers of governance. They recognized what this country had access to, and they said, shh, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. We can't let this get out. We can't let this get out. We can't let people know about this. We got to keep this, got to keep this, got to keep this, got to protect this. And so foreign interests come in and say, oh yeah, we wear what you have. We want to be able to manufacture what you have, and we'll make sure you're taken care of. And so they've made their companies multi-billion-dollar companies. It's on the stock exchange. You can see it. Made their companies rich off the Bahamas. Do you think they're just making their companies rich off the Bahamas, and somebody who's allowing them to do it has not been able to say, okay, we got you, we got you. Now I'm starting to wonder where all of this wealth coming from that you can't trace back to certain people over the years of power. Now you wonder why you look and you check people's bank accounts. You say, oh, okay, well, you can't see no foreign deal, no fixed deal here. But what's happening? Oh, the money perhaps are in offshore accounts, offshore banks. And they're getting funds, perhaps, to allow a practice that for years have raped the Bahamian people, while the people suffer, while people die because they can't afford health care, while people die because they have no food to eat, while people die because their electricity is getting turned off all the time, while people are dying because they cannot afford to live in this Bahamas, when all around us is wealth. Von Miller, let me substantiate a lot of what you just said. In 1967, January 10th, historic day, Black majority rule, Progressive Liberal Party won the government. Shortly thereafter, I'm not sure exactly what year it was, but if my research
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. It is always a pleasure to have you here with us on your Sunday, spending your Sunday educating yourselves, educating your family and your friends. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Sunday, the 4th of February. January is gone. This month is going to fly past us. And will you be ready for another year to be gone? What will the Bahamas look like at the end of this year? What will the Bahamas look like at the end of next year? What will the Bahamas look like at the end of this election term? What will it looked like Bahamas. Well, what we decided to do was to pivot. We wanted to have a different kind of conversation. I was informed that there was a PR meeting amongst persons in the governing party, and they told their trolls to just go in the groups and just throw mud, just confuse the conversation, get everyone talking about each other and not about the issues that's out there. They were told we can't argue as it relates to immigration, as it relates to inflation, and all of the ills that are in this country today. Let's get in those groups and start attacking anyone who is just putting information out there and putting real information and the truth and educating the people. Let's just muddy the water and just talk about personalities and not about the issues that change this country. And so I've decided that I'm not interested in that because we only have one country and we have a short window in which to save this country. And so I decided that I wanted to pivot the conversation. And so with that, we're going to have some conversations for the next few weeks about the vision for the new Bahamas. Where the Bahamas is, you can't make change if you don't confess to where you are, but the solutions to get to where you need to be. So I'm going to be having some conversations with other persons. These persons having conversations with me don't mean that they support the COI. That doesn't mean that they support any political party or that they will vote. It means that they care to have a conversation about where this country needs to be. Ideas coming from the Bahamian people, some of them well known, some of them not, but people with great ideas. And that's where we want to pivot this to. Because our country, all of us can agree that our country is falling apart, our country is failing. But do we just sit down and let that continue to happen? Or do we change the conversation into getting this country where it needs to be? And that's what I want to have. And so for the next few weeks, those are the conversations that we are going to be having on this show. We're not going to be having the regular conversations. We are going to be changing the game. So we hope that you are willing to change the game with us because that's where we're headed. And we hope you're willing to come with us. So for the next couple of weeks, well, the next few weeks, it's going to turn out to be a few months. We're going to have a different type of conversation. Today, we're going to be having a conversation, interesting conversation with Graham Weatherford. Everyone knows him as a visionary and a visionary. And we're looking forward to him bringing that to this conversation today to talk about things that are going on. Business people are complaining about what's happening in this country. What needs to happen? Bahamians are now eyes are open as it relates to our natural resources, our carbon credits. But where do we go from here? Let's have a real discussion about this, and we're going to let you join in on this conversation because whenever we talk on the show, the government runs to try to address things that we say. So since we're governing the country from this show, we want to continue to do that moving forward. And so next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be speaking to the president of the People's Union, the Public Service Work Union, and that is Mr. Kingsley Ferguson. And so that's next week, Sunday, we're going to have a conversation with Mr. Kingsley Ferguson. And the week after that, we are going to have an interesting conversation with Mr. Joe Davel, the former leader of the BNT. That's Mr. Joe Davel. So that's 2 weeks from now. We're going to have a conversation with him. We want to have conversations with Bahamians who have ideas, love for this country, who knows where this country should be, and even people that we disagree with. Because people that you disagree with could be right. People you disagree with could have good ideas that could benefit this country, even though they disagree with you politically or in other ways. You may disagree with someone on one point, but that doesn't mean you can't hear from them on another point. We have to raise the level of maturity in this country, and that's what we're going to attempt to do. Because we can't let our country go down. We have to save this nation. So let's start to have those conversations. Do what you're supposed to do. Do your duty. Tag someone, share. You can tag them right here. I removed the comments off the screen. What normally happens is they, whoever they are, remove some of your comments and they hide some of your comments, like in Facebook, etc. And then you don't get to see, if you're watching this after the time, you don't get to see all of the comments. And so I normally have them on the screen right here, but I move them so you see us better because we're going to be sharing screens. But we need you to share because 99% of persons are not getting the notifications. I have 35,000 followers or something like that. And 99% of them do not get the notifications when I go live. So many of them, I've seen them on the street and they're saying, I'm not getting the notifications anymore. You're not going live. No, you have to literally come to my page on Sunday to know that we're going live, or be a part of one of our groups or my blast, my broadcast. If you want to be added to my broadcast so that you're up to date on what's going on, because the government can't affect that, please send me a WhatsApp and just say broadcast, because I'll do a search for broadcast afterwards, and I'll add you to my broadcast so you can be up to date on everything that is going on uh, uh, in this country. All right, so that's broadcast. Make sure you are added to our broadcast so that we know what's going on with you and you know what's going on with us. All right. We have a couple brief announcements. Again, we have a youth event that is coming up. The COI Youth Alliance is having a youth event. It's going to be simultaneously in Freeport and in Nassau. In Freeport, it's going to be at the Nio Plaza on Friday, February 9th at 7 p.m. at the Nios Plaza, and also in Nassau at the Ocean West Boutique Hotel. So if you're a member of this organization, you have young people, convince them, get them to come out and be a part of this informative and educational event that we are going to have. So make sure that your kids are there. It's time to change the conversation. Like we said, it's time to change the game. Our youth are going to be the ones that may have to do this, and so we have to make sure that they are prepared to represent us as a people, so we can rescue our failing country. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I want to announce now that our convention is coming up, but we had to change the date. When they were planning the convention, it was while we were going the change of the date of the convention. We were supposed to be November. They changed it to March, but that's in the middle of the Lenten period, and so as not to disrespect people who follow the Lenten period, we're going to move it to April 13th. So that's the final date, April 13th. That's a Saturday, so that everyone can be there. We're having our convention. So that morning is for the delegates. So if you're a delegate, you will be notified. And that evening is for everyone who wants to hear the vision for the New Bahamas, everyone who wants to see who our leadership is. We'll be official. Leader, deputy leader, chairman, etc. We're going to vote for all of our positions that morning, and you're going to hear from us, and you're going to hear from some of our shadow ministers, and we're going to kick off the election period on April 13th, 2024. We are getting ready to get it started. So we're starting from now, and we're going to hit the conventions, and then we're going to hit the ground. Now, coming into our convention, ladies and gentlemen, the political pundits are going to spread a lot of lies and rumors and all kind of stuff. Please ignore that stuff. Don't call me and ask me if this is true or that is true. If it comes from a political troll, someone who is paid to put lies out there, that disappoints me when I see people even question if the lies of political trolls are true. That concerns me about the education level of our people. There are people who have admittedly said that they are paid trolls to go out there and lie and deceive the public. They're going to spread all kind of rumors. Attacks are going to start. Please ignore that. Let's focus on saving our Bahamas, like what we're going to do today. Also, I want to announce that we're having a soup and south sale. Of course, support the movement. We got to raise funds to get this done. We're having a soup and south sale, and that's going to be Friday. That's in Nassau. Friday the 10th. At 7 a.m. until everything is sold out. So we're going to have a soup and south sale. And listen, these some good cooks. You all know when we have cookout, we have the best cookouts. We have restaurant food when we have our cookouts. And everyone who's experienced it has experienced that. So soup and sauce is going to be available at the COI headquarters in Pinewood Gardens from 7 a.m. until. Come out and support the movement. Do your part. You got to eat that day anyway. So come out and make sure you support us in doing that. And also don't forget that we are having a raffle. We are raffling, and a lot of you have been buying your raffle tickets. We're raffling off some amazing prizes, including a car and some other, wonderful prizes. Make sure you go to the headquarters. It's open every day. We have staff hired there now, and so it's open every day. So you can go down to our headquarters and you can participate in our raffle. Now, with all of that wrapped up, it's time to change the conversation, y'all. And I don't want you to let them distract you about personalities moving forward. I want us to continue talking because we have discovered that the Bahamas is rich and that every Bahamian should be living the good life, that our country should work. And that's what we're fighting for. And I think it's a good cause. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to you our guest for today. A fella that I don't have to introduce you. Many of you have been seeing his videos that he's been putting out. You've heard him on radio, you've heard him on TV, and you know that he's a man with vision. And that's why he's the first person that we want to talk to as it relates to vision for this nation. And that is Mr. Graham Weatherford. Mr. Weatherford, welcome.
Well, good evening, Lincoln.
Good evening, my brother.
You know,
It's always a pleasure to have you here and to speak with you. Just want to make sure we get the right. All right. So we should be good. All right. So Graham, I want to have a real conversation today. Everyone, everywhere you go, is complaining about the state of the nation. Many persons, they don't want to go out there on the news and talk about it. But everywhere you go in a hairdresser, you go in Wendy's, everywhere you go, people are talking about the state of the nation. I think now it's time for us to have better conversations. The government needs leadership. Loftus Roca said that the government lacks leadership, and that's the problem. It lacks leadership. And the government seems to be following everything they hear people say, well, particularly us. So let's give them some more ideas. Let's help them with governing this country. What are you hearing as you go every day on the streets, Graham?
well, Lincoln, thanks for having me on. It's with all respect, right? I kind of resent having to be the person to come on. There are many business people, there are many Bahamians with great ideas. And what saddens me the most is the people in my community aren't speaking out. They're calling me and saying, hey, you see this problem with the business license? Hey, you see this person got shot? Now, I encourage them to please come out and say something, because it cannot be that just one or two people are going to be spokespersons. But what was really vexing, and a lot of people will say it doesn't concern them because they don't own a business. But if they're listening to you tonight, the question is, do you work for a business? Because if a business closes, then that affects you, doesn't it?
Yes.
So we've heard all the problems with trying to license businesses. We saw there was a rollout of a new model. And it's funny when you go in social media, you have to bite your tongue and watch everything you say and not speak freely. But I've had accountants call me, and they've told me many different things that are issues. And I said, listen, you're identifying the problem. How do we fix it? And so I'd like to, basically give you some solutions, because to sit here all night and talk about the problem, it's been all over the other media, right? But you don't hear the solutions.
Yeah.
We say, okay, someone got murdered. What's the solution? Anyhow, with the business license, Lincoln, and you've had some businesses, so you know. Why would we not, when people pay their VAT, because business license is based on your sales, correct?
Yes. Gross sales, which is gross, but gross sales.
Yeah. We don't do that for other offshore people, do we? Do we get 1% of all the cruise ship gross sales?
No country does that.
Because they said they made, what was it, $10 billion just a few years ago, 2019? So I would love 1% or whatever percent of that gross sale, but the indigenous person pays it. You know what I'd like to see? And I say it and everybody agrees. Why don't we treat the indigenous Bahamian businessman the way we've been treating the foreign businessman for the last 50 years? And why don't we treat the foreign businessman the way we've been treating the Bahamians for the last 50 years? You know what it is, rolling out the red carpet and making things happen. Anyway, back to the business
To add to what
license.
you're saying, Graham, and that sounds revolutionary, and that sounds like a rebellious idea, but that's how it works in every country. In every country, they are allowed to look out for their people first, more than anyone else. When you go on a line to the airport to go to America, there's a line for Americans and a line for everyone else. When you go to school in America, there's a school fee for the Americans and a school fee for everyone else. That's not discrimination, but you should benefit from your country, and your country should roll out the red carpet for you. Everything should be about how we can empower our people, and this is the first thing. The first people talk about natural resources and everything else. This is the first rule of the New Bahamas. Bahamians, it's not equality. Because in America, you are not equal to an American. Your civil rights are equal. But there are things that they have access to that you don't, because that's their country. And here, everyone else gets the benefits that we don't. The hotel gets benefits that we don't. Everyone gets it. So I just wanted to plug that into what you were saying.
No, it's very important. You know, we also have a tax, the VAT tax. So when your business makes sales, Lincoln, and I'm talking to the business community, and this is important for you if you work for a business owner, because if they go under and we don't protect them, you're in trouble too. When you pay your VAT, the VAT is based on your sales, right, Lincoln?
Yes.
Why can we not at the same time have your accountant say whether you are a very rich business and you pay every month or you pay quarterly, whenever you pay your VAT, why can't we have your accountant simply say, this is the percentage of your sales based on your VAT, and this is your business license? What am I getting at? Every quarter or every month, however the businesses pay here, you would have two revenue streams, one for the VAT and one for the business license coming in. It would be consistent cash flow throughout the year for the government, instead of making everybody come and create a bottleneck and congestion December and put a lot of stress on the business owners, a lot of stress on the government employees that have to process all this stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, I thought that was pretty smart of one accountant that told me that would solve a lot of the headaches.
It would.
And if you're going to say we're going to do a particular audit on company XYZ, well, you simply at the beginning, middle, or end of the year, you can go in and do an audit to see if their accountant was truthful and they were paying what is due to them. But we
Yes.
follow the same old methods and don't even ask the people who, I mean, I asked accountants because these are the people that have to do the audits, right?
Hmm.
The next thing was,
But before you go on, I just wanted to add,
mhm,
we need to have a culture in terms of business licensing of flow. We need everything to flow and not be blocked, and you're blocked and you can't do anything until this happens and that happens and you qualify for this and that. What they should do, unless it's a specialty thing like surgeries, etc., that's life threatening. But for regular businesses, they should just give you the license. Like literally, you can go to America and you can open a business like that. All right, they will check you out afterwards. All right, and make sure that everything you said you would do, that's what you're doing, etc. If someone comes to open a clothing store, give them the license and come and inspect them later. Make sure that they can do have certain things in place, etc. I'm not talking about the initial inspection, because our inspections normally consist of, okay, they walk in the building. Do you have a fire hydrant? Do you have an exit sign, etc., etc.? This can be done at any time. We need to remove the blockage and the red tape for Bahamians, open the business, let them know the criteria, and then inspect them to make sure they know that an inspector may come at any time. Make sure that when they come, this fire hydrant is in place, because then we're gonna give you a warning, put it in place, or that's when we're gonna block your business. But the length of time it takes to open a business and get a bank account, man, to open a bank account for business is mind blowing. We need and government can put laws in place to regulate the banks. Open up these bank accounts and let's watch them as they go. That's how we can get moving again.
Well, Lincoln, you just said it. The Bahamas government owns a bank, correct?
Yes.
Why doesn't that bank just specialize in putting Bahamians first and rolling out the red carpet? The other banks would have to follow suit or go out of business, correct?
Well, that's what's going to happen in the New Bahamas.
I mean, see, whenever you have the problem, there's take the simplest solution because usually it's the best one. I mean, we have a whole bank for us, but it has some of the same practices as the other banks that lately seem to not want to help us the same way as the other people. And that's really sad. You know, I have a business owner said that they had a business for over 40 years. They went into the bank and tried to open another account for the same business, a separate account, a holdings account. And it's been 2 months. They haven't even got an answer back.
Graham, it took us almost a year to open a bank account for the Coalition of Independence after election we decided to become a party, and we got licensed with the government. We got our documentation. It took us almost a year just waiting on the bank, the government's bank, Bank of Bahamas is one of them, to make a decision on whether we can open an account or not in our country. But when they catch you with money under your mattress or in your closet, or you're doing what you have to do, it's a problem. You can't regulate people keeping and holding on to their cash if you're going to be denying them open bank accounts. But back to your number two.
So my question was, and I asked questions that some people, you say they're trolls and haters, and listen, if someone is in charge of a country, they should be saying, how can we have no tax for our citizens? And when I ask that question, you've answered it 100 times, and many other people have. But when I ask that question of some of the financial experts, they tell me it doesn't exist in the world, and it's a crazy thought.
Mm-hmm.
So would you put that person on your team? Because we keep the same, it appears the same model, the same team, the same oppression on the Bahamian people. What new city have we been? People said I go all over the place, but it ties in. Lincoln, in 50 years, what new city have we built?
None.
As you said, not one hospital. You've been to Qatar, Emirates, you've been to Malaysia, Singapore, you've been to Thailand. What have they done in 10 to 20 years maximum? They've built cities that rival US cities. So something as simple as a business license. We've been doing it the same way for 50 years. So maybe there's a new government. Maybe there's going to be a new change here. But I can't understand. Lincoln, if you have a business, there are a lot of wealthy people in the Bahamas. They have a business, they don't owe the bank, and they don't have loans, and you understand? So why do they need to have a full audit on their company? They're only going to pay on what they sell, correct?
Yeah.
Why do you want to know the intricacies and the ins and out of that entire company? Is it for corporate tax that may be coming?
And if
How
the
does
government is
this?
going to be, if the government is going to be auditing companies the way they are now, because even small companies are putting in audits, then they need to remove the restriction of paying the taxes on your gross. They did that because they didn't have a proper audit system in place, so you could lie about how much money you made. So they just took the gross. Now that they are requiring these audits, you need to let people pay on their profits like every other country does, because they're breaking the backs of companies, because this may be your gross, but you may have made no profit, and you pay your profit, whatever little bit you have, to the government, and you end up in the red.
You remember phone card sales, where
Mm-hmm.
we used to have to buy the phone card for minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that I sold a lot of phone cards. I sold $1 million worth of phone cards, but the profit on each phone card wasn't even 2 cents. Let's say that I made $10,000 profit. I'm selling a lot of something, but I make a little bit of money on each sale. If you charge me 1% of my gross, that's $10,000. I basically got put out of business.
Right.
So
I wanna play a video so people can kind of get the understanding of what Bahamians are going through in every single area. And of course, we talk about more solutions, but I want them to hear from Bahamian people. Everyone hasn't seen this. I want to play the video from Long Island where these gentlemen were talking about the fishing industry. Now, the government came back and said, okay, we're going to rethink that. Why should you have to rethink taking a tax from $20 to $800? Why should you have to rethink taking a tax from a couple $100 to thousands of dollars? That should not have ever been considered. It's already implemented, and these guys are suffering. They have tax upon tax upon tax that they have to have, especially in the fisheries area, and we have to have this conversation. I want to play this video, Graham, and then we'll be right back.
Good evening, everybody. We are here on Saltburn, Long Island, at Government Dock with not all, but some of our concerned fishermen. And we want to discuss the outrageous fees that's put on the Bahamian people with boat registration. My name is Marvin Cartwright. I own a small tour business, and I'm also a fisherman. Started out as fishing. I just want to ask the government where their head was when they thought about the young people. How could you put all these fees on some young people just coming out of school and want to start a business? And first registration for a 20-foot boat is, I think, $2,700 or somewhat. Last year I paid $20. This year, coming up, I have to pay $750 for a 20-foot boat. I have a lot more concerns, but I want to give somebody else the floor and then have to say a few words. It's Emil Knowles.
Good evening, Bahamas. My name is Emil Knowles. Commercial fisherman all my life from 1992. This is my boat here, bought in 99. And from what I see, it's no for the Bahamas being these islands only built on two things: fishing and farming. And how do a young person get into this? All right, right now the registration was $200 for this boat. Now you're looking at $3,000. How do you get from 200 to 3,000? You could see a 25 to 30% increase, but not a 3,000 or 3,500% increase. That's my 5 cents.
My name is Roger Cartwright. I own Long Island Boat Rentals and Tours. Started out with a small company. Now we grown it up. I have 10 people employed. And I want to know, how is it that I went from 15 boats being registered at $800 a year to 15 boats now at $8,000 a year? The government said they're
Okay, the video isn't playing smoothly, so I'll end it there. But I think everyone gets the
Is this?
point.
But how
Um,
does this?
how do you go from $200 to $3,000? Like, what's happening in this country under this administration?
If you use that same ratio to increase a car license that is about, let's say, $200, how many thousands of dollars would it be to license your car? So we know that we need money, right? That's probably the reason for all the, I call it tax panic. Why don't we look at other things that we could be doing? It's like we're ignoring that.
Like what?
Well, we ignore sand and carbon credits exist because those things aren't real. But, you can see what you would pay for a bag of sand versus the $2 royalty when it leaves the country, the government gets. That's ridiculous. But, Lincoln, there's a list of things that we could be doing. Right now, the other day, I said that we can see Taiwan is in trouble.
Mhm.
When we vote in the UN, don't we vote with Taiwan?
Yes.
So why are we not inviting Taiwan? And for those who don't know, the uniqueness of Taiwan is they make most of the chips that are in your phone, your TV, your life, computer chips. Why don't we invite them to Freeport? Why wouldn't we tell them, Lincoln, in a joint venture? Because this time the Bahamians need to benefit equally with the foreign investor.
Exactly. And this is what we've been putting forward. We, excuse me, we have sand, lots and lots of it, more than any other country in the world, easily accessible sand that is, because we have shallow waters. That's our name. And they need sand, silica sand, to make chips.
Silicon chips.
The new Bahamas is the real Silicon Valley. Because we're not just going to take up sand and sell it. We are going to go into the processing of this. How do you get into it? They say it costs money to get into processing. You partner. We have the material. They have the know-how. Let's work together. See, and we celebrate independence in 1973, but independence has done nothing for any country that has it. Independence does not take us forward. What the world operates on is interdependence. And that is what the new Bahamas is going to be about. We're going to celebrate interdependence. And for interdependence, it means that countries have something to offer and they bring what they have to offer to the table for the world. And the world benefits from what they have to offer. And this is what the new Bahamas is going to be about. Right now, we have, Graham, a parasite economy. All right, where we just let the foreigners come in, build something, and share it. But back to the natural resources, we talk about tourism afterwards. I want to have a serious conversation about tourism. Do you really seriously feel that Bahamians can and should benefit from their natural resources? And if you feel that they shouldn't, don't be afraid to disagree with me. Should we benefit from our natural resources?
I think we should not only benefit from it, but we should use that money to remove all tax and burdens off of the citizens. When are we going to have the real discussion? I thought we were getting very close when was spoken in the House of Assembly a great speech on resources. And now it feels like that's drifting away again. We have to have the real discussion on resources and find out once and for all what the country is worth. I tell you, you were saying what are some of the solutions, right?
Mhm.
If we're in denial that there is no sand in the Bahamas, there is no aragonite, there is no oolite, OOLITE. No one even talked about it, but you did in the video. The lady in the US said that they have some of the purest oolite. And what is it?
$2 billion. Sorry, 2 billion tons of it. Sorry.
Yes. at $2 a ton? Should it not be worth more than that? So right there, we really can't dispute that there's no longer carbon credits and natural resources. So the discussion now needs
They're
to be,
still saying that I'm selling dreams, that carbon credits isn't real, and we don't have any natural resources. People are still saying that.
but Lincoln, it's been said, I mean, they may want to pick on you, but it's been said by many other people. So why don't we
Like
once and for,
Finland.
yes, from Sir Lyndon Oscar Pinland's time, when are we going to get the forensic audit on the natural resources and carbon credits now of this country? That's a simple one. So, I mean, we don't need to harp on it because it'll either be done or it won't be done. But what kind of upsets me is I'm not hearing anyone calling for it, putting you on the side, anyone other calling for it. Why aren't they calling for it? I mean, isn't that just a simple thing? If I say, listen, I think there's a bunch of precious metals buried in your backyard, Lincoln. Wouldn't you say, let's go in the back, dig up the yard, and let me see, do an audit and see if I can find how much of it is here?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm
No,
watching
the
the
answer,
time.
Graham. The answer is what I've been saying and what I'm going to continue to say. Ignorance is power. Ignorance is power. And I'll repeat this for those hearing this the first time. The reason you buy a can of Coke soda is because you can't make a Coke soda. That's why you buy it. Coke having the knowledge to make Coke soda is not power, because if everyone else could do it, they wouldn't have any power. But the fact that you cannot make that Coke soda, that's where the power comes from. The politicians keep the knowledge to themselves. When I used to do, you remember when I used to do a talk show on Jams Radio a few years ago, and I would educate people about their constitution and about other things, about business. I was talking about this natural resources stuff from then too. People think that I just got into this game, but I was talking about all of these things for a very long time. Whenever I have shows that was educating people, that's when Debbie Bartlett would get a call from people who were part of the status quo saying, stop letting them teach these people the Constitution. Stop letting them teach them their rights. Stop letting them teach them this stuff. Don't let them talk about it, not with this and that. And sometimes she would let me hear. And I couldn't believe, like, I could go on the show and I could cuss and they wouldn't mind. But if I started educating the people, that's when we would get the calls, Graham. And so that's to answer your question. Ignorance is power.
So there's ignorance is power. And I would like to say to everybody listening, why not try a different model? Get the smartest citizens in the world. Make them extremely wealthy, and you will be in power longer than Sir Lyndon Pinland.
Mm-hmm.
See, we have a fear that if we make you smart, you're not going to vote for me. The politicians do not need to be the smartest people in the room. If they are,
No.
then they're in the wrong room. They need to be able to discern if what you're requesting of them makes sense. And I'd asked over and over, set up a think tank, put the people in it, and say, how do we fix tourism? How do we fix crime? And they give you 10 answers. You say, look, I like number 1 and 7. Go make it better. But look at what when you look at it, Lincoln, I don't see a broke country. You know, the World Bank and the IMF, International Monetary Fund, that spoke poorly a few weeks ago about how we were handling our finances. You remember that?
Yes.
But just January of 22, they said we were the 3rd richest country in the hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
So either they're confused or the numbers aren't. We need a forensic audit on them, because it appears to me an intentional takedown of the 3rd richest country. And that's my opinion. I'm entitled to it.
Graham, you were a couple of times I saw you talking on Facebook, and I saw you talk about it on a couple of shows. You presented a newspaper clipping that talked about how much money this country actually makes, and it was a statement from the government.
From
Tell
the
us about that.
from the Minister of Trade and Industry, Financial Service, and Immigration. That's a powerful ministry, eh?
Yeah.
It was the November 5th, 2018 Nassau Guardian. And I'll give it to you so you can post it up. I went on a radio show with a man I'd become friendly with, Obadiah Wilshcombe, and we looked at it and we were astounded. There's never been a full retraction of what it said anywhere. And if it is, I'd like to see it. It said that the Bahamas trades goods and services, and this is only 2018 now.
Wow.
And it said that we trade 3 trillion. That is a 3 with 12 zeros. That is
That's a
insane.
3 with a T.
And 12 zeros. 3 trillion. Now, if that were to pay 12% VAT, which it was, you remember that?
Yes.
It would be about 360 billion. That's
$360 billion would be the VAT on that.
How? Because we had to pay 12% VAT at that time.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
So bring
How
it to
many
today, and
how
it's
many?
300 billion.
Yes.
Wow.
So back then it was 360 billion. And I asked the question, how many days are in the year, Lincoln? 365. That's almost $1 billion a day in tax revenue. What is it coming from? Is it coming from planes flying overhead? Is it coming from oil? Is it coming from transshipments? What is it coming from? Because nothing should move through my country, our country, that isn't taxed the same as the organic or indigenous people, eh? I mean, should you go over the bridge and pay $2, but I'm someone from out of country, I pay nothing?
That should
makes
never
sense.
happen in this country.
But let's look at what that type of money is, Lincoln, because that's almost 1 billion a day. A very nice hospital in America is about 100 million, right?
Yeah.
It takes 10 100 millions to make 1 billion.
Wow.
So with the tax revenue collected, that would be where you or any prime minister, if taxing those things the way we tax us, could build 10 hospitals in 1 day's worth of tax. The next day we could build 100 schools. Now,
go ahead.
I'm waiting for the man who published that to come on media. They can come with, you know what, Lincoln, I'm not a politician. So I'm glad you did the disclaimer. And I think you are at some of your best when you are researching and digging into things. But one of the biggest things, and I've been talking from 1994, was when someone put in a newspaper that we trade $3 trillion. I asked, why doesn't it pay tax? What is it? So somebody told me that I should be quiet. I'm stupid. That is the financial service sector, the offshore banking. The whole offshore banking of the Commonwealth, and someone can correct me, but I got a Tribune newspaper from the central bank, is about $171 billion. Now that's when I got the newspaper. It could have changed up or down from now. So let's call it $200 billion. $200 billion. Financial service sector removed from the 3 trillion leaves 2.8 trillion. And see, here's where it's tricky. I believe it was 2014. I have the article. I'll send it to you. One of the ministers said that there was a revelation that 55 Bahamian passport holders, that means you're a citizen, right, Lincoln?
Yep.
55 Bahamian passport holders had accounts in Switzerland at Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. And in these accounts was $7 billion. I know you remember this, but our
Yes.
national debt, Lincoln, at the time was $5 billion. So 55 passport holding Bahamians had enough money in Switzerland in one bank to pay off the debt and have 2 billion left over. But this is a
Graham, I think we lost you. We may have lost me too. No, I'm still there. Graham, I think we lost you just now. Okay, we got you back. Go ahead, Graham, you're back.
I could only hope it wouldn't be someone trying to not hear this.
Yeah.
Where did you leave me?
I don't even remember.
In 2014 or thereabout, the government found out that there was a revelation by a minister that 55 Bahamians had $7 billion in one bank in Switzerland. That was enough to pay off our national debt and have $2 billion left over. Who are the 55 passport holding Bahamians? Does that not
I
tell
have an
you that?
idea who some of them are, and we've started digging
Yeah,
and investigating,
yeah.
but we're going to reveal some of this at the right time.
But I mean, does that not tell you this is a rich country if 55 passport holding Bahamians could have 7 billion in one bank in Switzerland in 2014-15 in a country that's broke? More than the national debt.
Wow.
Do you think there are, I don't know, look at the per capita. That would be the same as saying, I guess the US had a few thousand people that had more money than the US national debt. That would be insane.
Wow.
Would it not?
Yep.
So look at the ratio, the percentage. We richer than them by far. If you look at that one observation. Now, Lincoln, what is dangerous is that was only one bank account. That was only one bank with multiple accounts. What about the other banks in Switzerland? Have you seen Switzerland? Do they only have one bank?
No.
So how many others were there? How much money did this country make? And
How much money is being hidden? That's the question.
you
That's
know,
the
when we
question.
get rid of all currency and we go to that digital currency, you'll be able to follow money then.
Yeah.
That's going to be
Yeah.
interesting. But you know,
So based on
tourism,
your numbers, people keep harping on this thing that
3 trillion.
that we brought up. That we brought up. With this $100,000 thing, that the PLP invented. When those union leaders did an investigation of Aragonite alone, and they said that every household could get $100,000, and we said based on what we're seeing, we believe that every Bahamian adult can get $100,000. Do you believe that's doable or not?
First of all, we got to do an audit on how many Bahamians we have. But once we do that and find out, I'm not sure if that figure could be much more.
Yeah.
Because 55 Bahamians had 7 billion. Do you know how many 100,000s are in 7 billion?
That's
And that's
enough to
in,
give every Bahamian
well,
about $50,000. I believe there's 150,000 Bahamian adults 21 and over, based on statistics we've been seeing. And that's enough. 7.5 billion is enough to give all of us $50,000.
but instead 55 Bahamian passport holders, and I say that for a reason, have that kind of money.
They get
While
theirs, we don't get ours.
while friends of mine eating Roman noodles.
Wow.
See, what we're doing to small business is going to kill charity, and when you kill charity, then we're going to have a huge domino effect. I have people. A lady just called me. She said she's got three companies, three locations, and tourism, um, and two have had to close, and the third
Yeah.
one may close because there's expenses now to get the accounting and the auditing done on the business.
Mhm.
Secondly, your business has become a revenue collecting department business, but you're not being paid for it. You have to
Mhm.
collect the VAT, but are you being paid to
Or the
collect that?
government.
Yeah. Are you being paid to collect it? What do I mean? The time it takes to calculate it, the time the accountant charges you and all the other people to make it happen. So it's like, and I'm not saying this government, last government, any government, governance has decided to make us tax collectors. You a tax collector. It's not about me, These are questions. See here, I don't come here with written speeches. This is copious notes. Obi Wilshcombe taught me that word. These are what people have asked me to ask. And I
Wow.
can't ask some of this stuff because then I'll be interrogated. And it's sad because we should sit down um, as governance and talk to everybody and say, we're going to have a meeting, bring your concerns. We want to find out how can we make this easy. Do you know how nice it would be instead of Christmas, everybody piling up at revenue trying to get the business license in, they can't get this piece of information, that piece, you know what's involved. I don't need to break it down and waste time.
Yeah.
And it's a burden because they're mad at the people that are civil servants that are working in that field, right? Everybody's tension is high. And then you get this big sum of money between January and March, and then nothing till next year. Wouldn't it be
Yeah.
nice just to say, when you pay your VAT each month or each quarter, you're also going to pay based on your sales, your business license based on your sales. So there would be two checks coming in every month, every quarter for smaller businesses. You would have, you could, you could budget better because sometimes when too much money gets in your pocket, you do some things with it you shouldn't. And if it trickled in
Yeah.
each month, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it would solve all this headache and this chaos.
Right
But
now, all the majority of the money is in a few hands in this country. You got about 20 families basically, right? So
55 passport holders.
yeah. So about 20 families. Well, that's the money that they're hiding overseas. But the majority of the money in this country is in a few hands. There's only certain amount of money you can spend in an economy. How many cars can Brent Simonet's son own? How many cars can Brent Simonet own? There's still a limit. So him having money in the bank does not benefit the economy. It clogs the economy. People say, why do you want to let people benefit from the natural resources? And the reason I want that to happen is because if you give money to the people, it flows in the economy. One. Two, the reason our country doesn't go forward is because only a certain amount of people have money to do the ideas that they want to do. So they only have 24 hours in the day. And they're not going to venture far from their business or the business their parents were interested in. And so that's why you're stuck with these wholesale businesses and just a few things. And the people who have the real ideas don't have the money to do it. So our country stays stagnant and broken and doesn't work because we're not empowering the right people. We're empowering people who are connected to politicians or paying for their political campaigns. When we empower, come right now, Graham, when we empower the general public, the ideas are going to flow from them. Them and their family can put their monies together and open businesses. Some of them are going to squander their money. I agree. Let them squander it. I'll take it because I'm going to open the business that they want to spend their money with. Other people will do the same thing. But when it comes to us, it stays in the economy. But our country is broken because the the companies that make the most of the GDP are not paying on. The money immediately goes back out of the country. And this is where the problem is. So this is what Qatar, Dubai, and all these countries did. They went from developing nation to developed nation by empowering their people, and then their people were able to constantly open the businesses that their economy needed. And this is where our problem lies, Graham. What say you?
So you just said most of the money goes out of the country. You know what's
Mhm.
sad? A lot of money never comes into the country. If I want to book a cruise now, I don't
Yeah.
call your country. I should be calling Freeport or Long Island and booking my cruise through the Bahamas with
Mhm.
your company that's licensed, registered, whatever in this country. There's some things need to come along with that. You're going to
Mhm.
use my bank. Yeah, every ticket sold on that cruise ship
Yes.
is going to come into my Bahamas bank.
That's what Dubai does. They have their ticketing agencies, they have their travel agencies, and you go through them. And we partnered with them, but didn't take the same idea that they have.
How is it? I can come to your place. You know, I have to be careful what I say. When I call your place, I'm hoping to get the front desk of your place, but I end up in Florida.
Yeah.
And they say, "Do you have a credit card? You want to book the room?" So I didn't
Wow.
even make the call center. I didn't make the booking. I didn't nothing went in the bank, whatever. The tourism happens in the Bahamas, but what percentage do we own? You know, it was just today, I had a gentleman say to me, um, is the are the Bahamian, he used wrong grammar. He said, is the Bahamian, are the Bahamians, right,
Mhm.
benefiting from the GDP, all the money made in the country? And who owns most of our GDP, all the money made in the country? He just asked me that today.
Mhm.
And if you answer that truthfully, it's very sad. And what was beautiful is the Airbnb model. That's the conceptual economy.
Yeah.
You have an idea. We can own every hotel, every bed you can rent today, but no building, and we use the internet to make it happen. And if you said just a moment ago, you give the money to the people, I actually had an ex-politician tell me, you just can't give the money to the people.
Hmm.
And I told him, I'll tell you off air who it is. I told him, and I had a witness when he told me that. I said, if you don't give the money to the people, they can rob you. I said, so
Yeah.
you decide which way you want it to go. I said, it doesn't have to be like that. See, if you give people money right now, what are they gonna do? Somebody might go to Miami, someone may buy a car, someone maybe, but a lot of people, Lincoln, if you teach some principles about money, which we never taught money in school, we need to start doing that. You would have people that would start their Airbnb and
Yeah.
they would own tourism.
Yeah.
There's a guy on East Street. He built a building. He has multiple Airbnbs in the building. The top floor is a restaurant right near Mortimer's Candy Kitchen.
And inside it's beautiful. I went there and I've eaten there. The food is fabulous. You wouldn't think that you could get that good food right there. That's at the bottom of the hill. I don't remember the name of the street, but it's
Enos
at the
or something with E. But
so
it's
where
it's
Mortimer's Candy is. If you're heading south, when you reach the bottom of the hill, Mason Edition is I think that's on the left, and his corner is on the right. They just demolished the building on the corner.
so what else could we do? Well, it all
Hold on,
starts with
Graham.
mm,
I wanted to show you something. All right,
mm.
I want to show the whole Bahamas something. All right, I want you to see something. Watch this. This is very interesting. So we are bragging about our tourism numbers growing, and I showed numbers already a couple lives ago that tourism is growing in every single country right now because of the lockdowns. People are just traveling now. Um, and so you can't give credit to the government because tourism is growing everywhere, including Haiti, that's having all that turmoil. Tourism is growing everywhere. Look at Florida. We're bragging that we're finally reaching 8,000 tourists, right? And this is what annoys me with this. In 2022, this is after the lockdowns. In 2022, Florida estimated that it welcomed, and they say estimated because they don't really fully know how much tourists they got, because some people drive to Florida and they can't know who drove to Florida. All right, some people will drive from Georgia to Florida and they would be tourists too. But uh, Florida welcomed 137.6 million visitors in 2022. They broke record. Before that, they had broken record before that also. And after that, 137 million tourists. And we've been bragging with our little 5 million, 6 million, 7 million
8.
tourists as if we're doing something good. We've been in the tourism industry for all these years. Dubai came from being a desert where no one would want to exist. And they are bringing the world to them, tens of millions of tourists to themselves. While we still on 8 million tourists and patting ourselves on the back. We need to change the game. We need some real vision for this country. I just wanted you and the whole Bahamas to see this. Nothing special is happening. If Dubai can go from 0 tourists to tens of millions of tourists, and we still stuck, and we said it's our #1 industry. That wasn't Dubai's #1 industry. We still stuck on 6, 7, 8 million tourists, and we think we're doing good. Go ahead, Graham.
You know, in 2008, when I was on radio with another talk show host, I think it was around 3 or 4 million we were doing then, tourists. And I looked at him and I said to him, we have 400 million people in the US and Canada. 10% will be what? 40? We can't get 40 million people here?
Wow.
What are we doing wrong? And so it builds on what you just said. We're not saying it's negative that we're getting these tourists, but what can we, and the thing is, how many tourists are now coming off of the cruise ship? Because a large portion used to stay on the boat and not even come off. But now, how many are coming off of the boat? That's one statistic. The second statistic is how many are leaving the port. I went downtown today. I didn't see too many tourists. One tourist was sitting with me.
Wow.
A couple. And they said, did I feel safe eating in the restaurant downtown?
Wow.
I said, why wouldn't I? You're here. And they told me some things that they were told before disembarking, and my jaw's on the ground. I wouldn't repeat them. But my brother was told some things many years ago. Don't leave with so much money and this and that and the next thing. It was amazing. See, what you need to do is find people and let them go on the boat and record what's being said, because they have what they call orientation. And then we need a meeting, because it cannot be, you know, if you made $10 billion in 2009, one cruise line bragged about that. It cannot be that you do not pay 10% tax. Forget the registry. With that registry comes 10% tax. Or we'll register in Panama. Okay, well, you'll still pay the tax when you bring the boat through the Bahamas. We are waterfront, beachfront property, but we are told it's garbage. See, the truth is, a cruise ship can go 2.5 days to get into the Caribbean. There's nowhere a cruise ship can go, Lincoln, to have a beach and be tropical like us. In one day get there, overnight, next day back. Can't happen, except for Florida Keys. How many private islands are in the Bahamas, Lincoln, that are owned by cruise ships? Now, second question, how many private islands in the whole of the Caribbean, excluding us, are owned by cruise ships? I know the answer, and it will shock you. So,
and this is why I say it's time for us to get in the game. All right. We have to get in the game of tourism. We're not in the game of tourism. We're servants. We're slaves. All right. And we have to get in the game. We have to own this industry. And we should have some ambition. I had someone said, "Oh, but we own the Bone Fishing Lodge and this and that." Come on, man. Let's get serious. All right. We need to own the major hotels. We need to own the cruise ship industry. That's where the majority of tourists come. And we need to own what they come off the ship to do. All right. We need to give them a reason to come off the ship. And this is where we're failing. 80% of them stay on the ship. So when we brag about this 8 million number that we're going to have, they're not coming off the ship. They're staying on that ship.
Or leaving
And
the
that's a
port.
problem. So this is why I said in the new Bahamas, we are going to own our tourism. We're going to own the cruise ships. We're going to buy cruise ships. We can afford that now without benefiting from our natural resources. We should have been investing in cruise ships so that we can share our culture with the rest of the world. Bahama cruises in Europe. Bahama cruises in the Caribbean. Yes, we take our culture to Junkanoo on those ships every day. Shows on those ships every day. Times Square style, all right? Broadway style. With Bahamian cuisine on those ships traveling around Europe. So we bring the Bahamas to you, traveling around Asia, Macau, these places. We bring the Bahamas to you. And all
The
Bahamians have an ownership stake in this, and that's how we all benefit.
the spinoff of that is phenomenal. You see, we usually will just come and attack you and say, how stupid is it to say own cruise ships and blah blah blah. But what you do, if you have a real think tank, is someone would say, yes, because if you take a boat and you go to Germany and they experience that food and culture, they're going to say, wait, how do I get to the country? Is there an Airbnb? And now they come to stay and have a longer duration heads and beds of what they experienced a sample of on the cruise. And so that's what we miss here. We miss having people present ideas and people build on those. But how was Abaco after Dorian hurricane? 1/3 of all tourist dollars that stay in this country was lost when we had Abaco destroyed. How could they make so much money and they don't have a cruise ship and they don't have a big hotel?
Yeah.
See, they own the tourism industry. They own you want to rent snorkel? You want to go on a boat? You want a bed, the sheet, the pillow? They own it. The knife, the spoon, the fork, the food, they own it. The plate, they own all of tourism. So when someone says, how can you expect Bahamian people to own tourism? I said, it's so easy, but you got to be willing to promote it and let them do it. It's happening
You
by
take
accident, you know.
you take money and you give grants to Bahamians who are going to open attractions for the tourism industry. All right. The reason you go to Florida is not because of that swamp that they call Florida. It's because Disneyland is there. It's because Universal is there. It's because shopping is there. You go there for a purpose. We just want to build hotels and hope people just like the beach. So many countries have beach now, and flights are cheaper and cheaper now. And that's why our
You
growth is so slow because we're just focusing on the beach. What do they do when they get at Dubai? Made everything an attraction. If you go to Dubai, even the elevator is an attraction. You go in the elevator, and that is a sight to see. They made everything an attraction, something you want to go to, experience with your kids, etc. The whole city. And we are going to have a theme city in Nassau. Nassau is going to be a theme city that everyone wants to come and experience.
Lincoln, you remember the Airbnb on E Street? I
Yes.
took the gentleman to the beach. Do you know what that gentleman told me?
What?
He's a multi-millionaire. You know what he does? Do you know the water theme park that you have in the big hotel?
Yeah.
He builds that on the water, floating. That's his business all across Europe. He saw the opportunity here. He said, I'm going to buy a place in Exuma, and in the bay, I am going to build a floating theme park. I almost fell down.
Mm-hmm.
I said, do you need a Bahamian joint business owner? Because I have some people in Exuma that could partner with him. See, that's what governance should do. Not let
I
the
think
man buy a
he's from Norway.
not let
Yes.
somebody buy not let somebody buy the property and get the whole red carpet and own 100% of it.
The
You
reason
hurt your
I brought up that the gentleman's from Norway, that's another country that gives benefit from the natural resources to their
the
people. They
people.
don't get a check. All right. So Norway decided they won't keep the money in their coffers, so they have 1.4 trillion. Other countries give you checks, but they don't. But they give you other benefits that's equivalent to a check. Because if you don't have to pay for this or pay for that, and you have all these benefits, then imagine if we didn't have to pay electricity. That's eight, $900, $1,000. Some people that stays in your bank account.
You
That's
got
just an example.
or you get a new hospital if it's needed in Exuma and the medical is all free.
Yeah,
See, that
yeah,
helps you not have to fly to Nassau to get a treatment. You know the headaches, okay? I
yeah,
don't really like to harp on the problems because
yeah,
everybody knows the problems. We've talked about
yeah.
them for 30
And this
years.
conversation has not been about the problem, and I hope this changes the game for a lot of people, even the talk shows out there. Let's talk about electricity for a second. All right, before I open the phone lines, I'm going to open the phone line in 4 minutes. Right. Let's talk about electricity. So because of what we signed years ago, we have until 2030 to have, I think it's 30% of our electricity by renewable sources. So the government is going to go into solar and make it seem like they had this big plan and they're doing something grand. But that's something that we agreed to, and all the countries agreed to, and they will have certain punishments if they don't do it. So when the
Fines.
PLP starts bragging that they are doing this, going towards solar and this and that, no, 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 no. If they don't, they are going to be penalized because they've already signed on to it. Even cruise ships are going to be penalized if they don't. They signed on to certain things also. And so that's what you're going to see coming. But what they're doing here is, and it's shameful, I've shown you the documents before on live, that they're going to go into solar. They're going to start going into solar, Graham, but they're going to let private persons invest in this. Most likely Frankie Wilson, Focal, and these people invest in the solar and then charge us for what is free. They're going to charge us. They're going to make us pay for what is free. The sun.
I had somebody come to me yesterday. In the last 2 weeks, I've had a handful of people come to me and tell me that they want to buy solar to put on their apartments that they are renting because the tenant has a $1,200 electricity bill and the
Yep.
2-bedroom apartment is $1,200. They say the tenant can't pay them because they're paying the light bill. See, if we could sell sand, let's not talk about aragonite sand. And if they say sand doesn't sell, anyway, that's another story. Sand sells. If you sell sand and you took the sand money and put it on people's rooftop in the form of a solar panel, they would have a much less light bill. They could afford to keep their home. Businesses could afford to stay in business. I said the cost of electricity and crime are going to hurt plenty business, including Airbnb. Because if someone stays in your Airbnb and they leave you with a $400 light bill, you
Yeah.
finished.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to tell you this one before you open the lines. During COVID, we all sat down for a year and a half. We should have picked 5 islands and built 5 cities. Where's the model? It's a 1-story city. The Autec base in Andros. It's a city. They cut their arm, they can go there to the medic and they can operate in there, I'm pretty sure, but someone check it out. They have a food dispensary. It's a city. And why could we have not built 5 of those during COVID?
Yeah.
Had a year and a half. Because if you build a city in Governor's Harbor, Luther, everybody from the towns or the other settlements will come to the city. People will leave Nassau and go to Luther because they can get medical, school, anything you need is in a city. We understand that. But we did nothing. That's when you're rich. This is a rich country.
Yeah. And so one of the reasons we're going to buy the cruise ships is because now you can have cruise ships sailing in the Bahamas and it spreads the economy. And so now people can move to Andros where they have a deep port and we can set up activities for the tourists there. Bahamians will set it up. Some of them will give grants to do so. Now they have the reason to move there. And so when the ones who want to do business move there, then they have to eat. They have to get their hair cut. You know, they have to buy groceries, they have to buy gas. So now it builds a whole economy based on it. So the cruise ship thing isn't just to make money in the cruise ship, it's to build the islands back, send these ships to all of the islands. And what happens in Nassau when the ship is in port happens to every single island. And we get to start billing our Bahamas.
Can you imagine if in Andros or Luthra or Long Island, a ship came in on a Monday, people got off the ship and stayed in your Airbnb till the following Monday, right? They'd have to do the activities, eat the food, spend the money, heads in beds. We know it's more money made in that than in a boat. And then get back on the boat to go back where they came from, and it would rotate. We would be using the cruise ship like an airplane, and you put more people on it for less money. But the thing is, you help the Bahamians that want to move to, say, Andros, build a triplex. They live in one, it's solar powered, so the light bill is not killing them. And the other two units, they put on Airbnb for $100 a night each. How much is that a week? $700 for each one. That's what, $1,400 a week. They could afford their new triplex.
All right, so what I want to do is I want to let other Bahamians get in on
Yeah.
this conversation. There's really too much for us to talk about in the short 2 hour show. There's so much that we really need to touch on. But we're going to continue to have these, and we're going to bring Graham on 7 more times because there's a lot of areas we need to go deeper into. This is just a cursory on the surface thing, but we need to go deeper into the how this and how that. And so I'm going to open the phone lines now. And what that means is that you can call in and you can ask me questions. What is the vision for this? What is the vision for that? When you Graham think about that, or you can contribute what you think the vision for something should be. It's time for us all to have this conversation because politicians don't have a monopoly on ideas, and in fact, most of them are lost or so busy trying to make money for themselves that they're not really paying attention what could benefit the country. One of the things that keeps this country back is because the politicians are only concerned about what they can make money from. And if they can't make money from that, no matter how good the idea is, they are not going to do it. And that's been one of the problems of this country. So let's open the phone lines. What do you think about what me and Graham have been talking about? What do you have to contribute? Is there something we said that you don't believe in? You know, I'm here for the hard questions. Did someone put a comment on there because we weren't watching the comments? Did someone put a comment on there saying, "Oh, we don't believe this," or "That is correct," or "That is incorrect"? Say it to me because I didn't get to see it or repost it. Let us know because we're not afraid to be questioned by the people, and we feel that that's what all leaders should do. All right, so let's go. The phone number is on there, 803-5995. Let me make sure this is not on silent. 803-5995. Call us in and contribute to this conversation. All right,
You
this
know,
is your
Lincoln,
time. Go ahead.
while you're waiting on that call, you realize that Freeport could have been the world's first and can still be carbon neutral or net zero, whatever fancy word you want to use,
Mm-hmm.
crypto island,
Mm-hmm.
basically country, the Bahamas. What El Salvador did in 2021? We were saying let's do that in 2017, but it could
Yes.
save the whole of Grand Bahama. That
Mm-hmm.
could bring back the whole banking sector.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to talk about, I really don't want to talk about what happened, with the other crypto thing. We can take that and we could spin that, take that lemon and make lemonade out of that. But yeah, I would really like people to call in and say, hey, what about this? Or maybe they can tell us what we've been saying and make it better. What is wrong with treating our business people the way we've been treating foreign business?
Let's go to phone lines. Good afternoon. You're live.
Hey, good afternoon. How y'all doing?
Awesome, man.
All right, that's good. That's good. I just want to say, enjoy Move on. I'm glad how you're talking about the tourism. I brought up an idea about during the pandemic about because my cousin worked at Atlantis and he was talking about how much the water side like, you know, I was like, wow,
How much does it make?
my money in one day. Why we can't do this ourselves? And I just posted.
How much does it make?
A day, if I can remember correctly, it's over $1 million a day.
Every day.
It's full cruise ship and during the Christmas.
Wow.
That's when it's like, they sell the tickets and, so, the way they count it, there's 3 people that counts it and the last general manager or whoever else. I said, you got it. You mean to tell me we don't have a water theme park? So anyway, with the place named shoot where the carnival ground is, up top there.
Yeah, Clifford Park.
That's Clifford Park. Up top there where
Yeah, Clifford Park.
that place is. Okay. I was thinking of, they had the idea if you could have a water slide. Of course we need a big insurance that could go straight into the sea. That'd be something awesome. That's like a hill slide.
Oh, if you go and watch our tourism vision, that's one of the things that we talked about for that, especially that area, and also a zip line from up top there that goes all the way across to Junkanoo Beach, because that's a very high area. We talked about an underwater tunnel across to Paradise Island on the western side, where there will be a theme park, where the cruise ship is trying to take our crown on and do something there now. But we talked about that idea. So great minds think alike. You see, this is why the ideas need to come from the people.
Exactly. Now, watch what happens. I'm a person that likes to do my investigations on some investments and who I can talk to, whatever. I talked to this guy. He's a foreigner, big guy, like do big things in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Basically, Disney. He gave the Bahamian government. Now, he didn't give me no record to say that this is true. When I talked to a vendor that confirmed that it's true, he gave the Bahamian government $1 million to invest and on top there with those November sponges up there. Same with the supply and everything. Watch on it, right?
Yeah.
He came back and he said, what did y'all do with the $1 million? He said, well, they had that gate there, they have no security post. And the bathroom, that's a trailer, like a little container. And they did the bridge into that castle thing. And that's what they did with the $1 million because the property in the back there where they have the food, almost the food festival thing, they want to use that for Disney theme park. I was like, what? He said, yes. They gave the government $1 million. He didn't say why, but they took it. And I guess the negotiation was to say, give us the lease for so many years so that we can do that. And I was worried the information from there because I needed confirmation. You feel me?
Yeah.
And when I look at the park, I was like, wow, that is a good space.
Yeah. We just need vision, man. The money is not scarce. Vision is. That's what Sam Walton says. And money is never the problem because money follows vision. Vision doesn't follow money, and that's why we need a new kind of leader who's going to take us to the next level. We gotta go. All right. Thank you for your call. Graham, Dubai did a couple of things. Dubai invited Disney to open their biggest theme park in the world in Dubai, and they said it has to be. Call, I'll be right with you. They said it has to be a certain size or no deal. They wanted the biggest theme. Dubai always wants the biggest or tallest, and Disney said they didn't want to do it that big. Dubai was like, listen, we're putting up the money, and they invited them to come in. Disney decided they didn't want to come anymore, so Dubai built their theme park bigger than Disney. Because they realized that tourism was not about the beach. Tourism was not about the hotel. Tourism was about what do you come there to do. You don't want to come there and sit in the hotel room and just look around. Oh, nice room, like we've been doing. Is what will the people do? Dubai also did something very interesting. They invited schools, including Ivy League schools. Call, I'll be right with you. Ivy League schools to come in and build campuses in Dubai, so that Canadian schools and American schools, so that their citizens didn't have to travel to America to get an Ivy League education or good education. They invited them. Did Dubai build the school because it's just building blocks and concrete to bring their teachers over and to have the same level of education in Dubai as they have in their country. That was the only part of the deal. We will do the same thing.
So what if you did Andros as an education island? You could
That
do this,
is the
and
plan.
it's closer.
And now
So
you build a city.
even the Americans would want to come there to go to school instead of in the snow at winter.
Yes, you can't get at MIT, only a certain amount of seats. Go to MIT in Dubai. Sorry, in Andres.
Bahamas.
Let me go to the caller. Caller, you live.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Bain and Graham. How are y'all doing today?
Awesome, my brother.
Right.
All right. I got two questions, one for Graham and one for you, Mr. Bain.
Go ahead.
Mr. Graham, I'd like to ask, I've watched you on several different live, but I'd like to ask, are you planning on or are you willing to join the COI as a member of Parliament if we get a chance to? And that's I'll hang up and listen to your answer. And for Mr. Bain, I talked to a few people over, get them onto the live, make sure there's some questions that the concern that they have when I told them that you said that we'd be able to get free electricity, free health care, and no taxes. Can you explain that and how that'll come about, where we get the money from?
Yeah.
I'll hang up and listen to your response.
Okay, you go ahead, Graham, and then I'll answer them.
So since I've been speaking from 1994, but definitely from 2008, I listened to every politician, political party, and I like all Bahamians. I cannot pick a side and say the other side must starve for 5 years while my side wins. We divided people with Miami Dolphins and with the Dallas Cowboys. You divided. Then we come at you with Junkanoo, Saxon Valley. Ironically, one is more yellow, one more red. I don't know if you observed that. Then we divide you with Anglican, Catholic, Baptist, whatever. We stay dividing the people, and until the people wake up and come together. No, I've not chosen any political party. I've been a member of the PLP, and I've been a member of the FNM, and I was never a member of the DNA, but Brandville is my friend, and I want to see the genuine fixing of the country. It doesn't matter if I have to work with all three parties. If they were to come together tomorrow morning and say, let's fix the place, let's fix the place. Otherwise, we're going to go down a path I don't think Bahamians want to go down. You see turmoil in the Middle East. If fuel prices were to go up, Lincoln, to $10, $20 a gallon, what do you think would happen to business and Bahamians if it cost them $400 to fill up their cube or paso? And could it happen? 1970s. It went from what, $1.80 up to what was it, $5? So with that increase, we look at the same ratio, whatever, you got $20 a gallon, 25. How does that work around here?
Yeah.
No one even in a think tank talking about what if this happens, what do we do? You see the US attacking targets in the Middle East. If that escalates, no one is, we are reactionary. So to answer that question, I am not a COI, FNM, or PLP today. And I don't know what the future holds for anybody. What I am doing today is trying to sit down and say, why is there nobody of my complexion doing what I'm doing so I wouldn't have to do it? Have you ever observed that, Lincoln?
Yeah.
Okay, I got to give credit. We got Adrian White. But where are all the other Conky Joes, Caucasians, the white people? But I get calls, and we all need to come together, because if we don't, you've been saying what's going to happen, and I don't want to repeat that because
Mhm.
I want to be positive in 24 and let's talk about solutions. I'm glad you're doing the show, and I would encourage F&Ms, PLPs, and any business people to come on here and start giving solutions, and let's write them down and somebody implement them. That's
Yeah.
the whole premise. But people just want to say, oh, use a whole F&M, whole PLP, whole CI. No,
Yeah.
I
All
hope that
right. So
answers it.
he had a good question.
Yes.
He had a good question about the things that we said we were going to do for the Bahamian people, and we broke down all of that in Vision 2025. You can go to our website and you can see it. But I'm going to summarize it for you, and we're going to be putting out Vision 2030 very soon. And these kind of conversations are necessary for that because the vision can't just come from us. But we are, I mean, all out on planning and implementing, researching and putting things in place to come up with Vision 2025, which is the next level. Sorry, Vision 2030, which is the next level from Vision 2025. So, how are we going to offer some of these things? We actually broke it down number by number. All of the things that we were saying, we said that we could produce free electricity was one of the things that we promised to people. Actually, the PLP actually also promised that at one point. Um,
And I have to give kudos to Perry Christie because he did promise it and he did reduce the tariff and duties on solar products. So
yeah,
I'm
and Brave
giving
Davis
credit.
was the minister responsible for BC when the PLP made that promise. But we know they ain't gonna do that because that's how Focal makes his money by charging us for fuel. And so, how what are we going to do, and how will we do that? Right now, BEC says that their expenses are 40 a month. 30 million of that is fuel. All right, 30 million. That's 360 million a year is just fuel. Only 10 million is their expenses. All right. So that's fuel. And who's getting the money from the fuel? Focal,
So
which is PLP and F&M. So how can we reduce this? By simply going hydro, because we have a lot of current in this country in different places, and going, in fact, a foreigner who lives here, offered a hydro to the last administration and to this administration. They had all the plans, everything ready to go, where turbines would be put out there to sea, and as they're being spun, we have more than enough power to power New Providence. But guess what? They ignored them. They said we don't want it. All right. But we are going to we're going to go solar and hydro, which will automatically reduce the cost. It will also reduce the maintenance cost because solar doesn't have all of that maintenance and machines breaking down and the parts that sell, because that's where a lot of the corruption is in getting the contracts to provide the parts for these machines that break down. That's why they want to keep generators. We're also going to fix the power lines. 80. I spoke to the person who did the report for the Bahamas government, and he's ready to work with us. He's been advising us, and in fact, he, along with another group that I was a part of, made an offer to buy BEC a couple of years ago. All right, a lot of people don't notice. I have all the documentation. We also spoke with Mr. Maynard to make sure that the BEC workers had ownership in all of this. And so I've been working hard behind the scenes. There's a lot I do that people don't know. And so we met with these guys, and they said the biggest problem that BEC has is that a lot of their electricity goes to wastage. The power lines, it doesn't even get to you. No one uses it. It just wastes 50% of it wastes in the power line. Why won't the government fix that? Because that means they're making more money from fuel. All right,
mhm.
that's the F&M through Focal, and so they could fix that wastage. But what you don't consume, the wastage consumes, and so they wanted to keep wasting because if they fix that, they lose 50% of that $30 million. So that right there could take that from 30 million in fuel to 15 million in fuel. You see how you're already making a change? Now going solar takes it down to nothing in fuel. The only cost is batteries every certain amount of years, and certain technology are ready had conversations with Tesla for some things that they have offerings on. So we've been doing proper research in this. So we're going to take away the cost of the fuel to be able to make it free. It's five. It's almost five. It's almost $500 million right now. Is the expenses of fuel. So that's one of the things we offer. Just want to make you see how we can bring that. You could interrupt me anytime, Graham.
Okay, well, let me weigh in on that. Um, our prime minister at the time, Hubert Minnis, went on 60 Minutes, and he said that we spend 400 million, I believe it was, a year on um, the generation of power. So your numbers are right. But
Yeah,
here's the thing: if let's just say it was about 100 million was for maintenance and machines and stuff, right? So there's 300 million was on fuel. So a business person could come on here tonight and tell you, if you borrowed 300 million for solar panels and you put them on the rooftop, and over the next 3 to 5 years you didn't have to pay that 300 million a year, 5 to 10 years at 300 million you'd pay for the solar panels, and that person would be very wealthy.
yeah. And so they don't want to resolve our problems. Our biggest problem is corruption. And I don't want to focus on that today because I don't want to get into a political conversation. I don't want to take us there.
No.
I want to focus on the other solution. Like getting rid of corruption, here's a solution. That's what Singapore had to do what they did with no natural resources. But I just don't want to get there yet. I want to talk about solution. We also talked about offering free education. All right, a lot of countries have done it, Barbados, etc. The University of West Indies, Ireland has done it. A lot of countries that offer free education, and all of those countries grew. All right, so now we have Barbados that offered free education. So what started to happen? They have a lot of educated people there. Companies started moving there. Sometimes when you call Scotiabank, they was answered in Barbados because they set up a center there because you could find more professionals because they're more educated people. I opened a business in Barbados. It was the first place I expanded actually, and interviewing people. Everyone had an education. It was like the hardest part was choosing between all these educated people to work for you, and that's what you experience there. So anyone would want to open a business there. The same thing will happen in the Bahamas. The reason China is so big on certain things, including electric vehicles, etc., is not the cheap labor. It's the educated labor.
The skilled
Japan
labor.
educated the skilled labor. Japan educated their people and then went to number two economy in the world. China saw that and did the same thing. They spent a lot of time educating their people. And so that's why certain companies are doing business in China is not just the cheap labor, because they could get that in many other countries. And so we need if we want to bring the Taiwan factories here, etc., we need Bahamians who can qualify to work for them, etc., etc. So education will be free. We think it's going to pay for itself. You wanted to interrupt, Graham?
What would you see the benefit being to keep the country not at the same level of education as Japan? And we know that answer. But if we had our country at the same intelligence level as Japan, we wouldn't be voting out governments.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
education is key. See, a belief is that if you have smart people, they will not vote for less smart leaders. But we aren't looking, leaders don't need to be book smart and degree smart. They need to be wise so
Yeah.
that the smart people are given what they need to grow. So you're not looking for a smart leader, you're looking for wise leaders that have smart people in the bubble or the think tank. And I cannot understand why we wouldn't push for that, because we
Yeah.
think something other.
Yeah. And so that's another thing we're going to. So education is going to be free. We also said that we want to offer, and these things are free to citizens, not to everyone else. So other people are still going to pay for electricity. So your business will pay, your home will not pay. So just to make that clear, all right. So the electricity company will still be making an income, all right. Atlantis and all of them will still be paying, for electricity. Your business will pay for electricity, but your home, everything personal, will be free for you as a citizen because we're using your natural resources and we're trying to find a way to pay you back for being able to use that. So all of it can't be in cash. Some of it has to be in benefits that we give to you as an owner of this company we call the Bahamas. All right. We offered free internet for persons, for personal. Businesses still pay. We offered free internet. We actually broke down how we're going to do that, how we're going to set up. There's a spine in the middle of New Providence, for example, and we're going to put towers on that spine. There's a hill that goes straight through New Providence, and we're going to put towers on there and be able to send electricity. We've already met with technicians who knows how to get this done. We were ready to go from day one. All right. And so by sending it out, we have wireless internet that goes to the whole country. I also needed to say on electricity, we're putting all of the wires underground. This is a hurricane belt. Like, why are the wires up there? They have the wires up there because it helps with the leakage so that they can make more money from us. All right. So they want the wires up there over the ground. They can put them under the ground, just like they put water underground. If they can put water underground, they can put the wires in the ground very easily. It can be a project that could be done with no problem. All right, but they don't want to do that. All right, so with internet for your phone is going to get Wi-Fi from that same system, and you're also going to get it there. So those are things we offer. We offered free healthcare. Most countries in the world are doing this right now, man. All over Europe, there's free healthcare. All over the Middle East, there's free healthcare. In Canada, there's free healthcare. Even in America, they have Obamacare. All right, which changes the game. All right. So why are we behind? We're gonna have free catastrophic healthcare for all Bahamians. And the government been talking about it for years and years and years and inching towards it. But we're gonna make sure that this happens. But it's gonna be quality healthcare. These guys haven't built a hospital for you in 70 years. So what do you think they're gonna do anything else for you? They said it's gonna cost about $500 to $700 million to give us free healthcare. That's nothing to do as a country. So I just said these things quickly, and I just ran through it briefly. Some of the things that we said we're going to give to Bahamians, and that includes we're going to give you checks, royalty checks from our natural resources and our carbon credits. All right, and so that's things that we're going to do. If by now you don't understand that the carbon credits are real, professors have come out and said it. $156 billion is just a seagrass. If you want to sit down and have nothing just because you want your party in, then that's do what you got to do. All right, but we need a new country and people with vision. So I tried to run through that for you all. You want to add anything, Graham?
Yeah, I'll close with this. We're a few 100,000 people. Most 90% of the towns, not cities, in America have more people than we have here. So it's not complicated to run the place. It's not complicated to empower the people. And in closing on the business side of it, let's flip the script. Let's treat Bahamians the way we treated everyone else and treat them the way you treated the Bahamians for the next 50 years. And let me tell you, that right there, Bahamians you'd be taking your foot off the neck with that move because they're killing us and rolling out red carpet for someone else. We were the cheap labor, Lincoln, and that's now replaceable.
Yep.
And so you didn't train me to be the owner. You didn't train me to be smart enough to do world-class stuff. You trained me to be the cheap labor. Now you want to replace me. That's nothing shy of sick. So let's fix the Bahamas.
Yeah. And so just to remind all of you, excuse me, we are having our convention on April 13th. So that morning, delegates will come in and vote for who they want to be the leader of this party and other positions that morning. And that afternoon, and it's at the Marriott Hotel, that at that afternoon, we're calling on all of you to come out and be a part of what it is we are doing. But we need a new Bahamas. I'm sorry, this is a short conversation. We only touched on it. We're going to get to more. As I said, next week, there's going to be a conversation. It's going to be pre-recorded. There's going to be a conversation with Kimsley Ferguson. The week after that, there's going to be a conversation with Mr. Joe Davel, a real environmentalist, someone who's been out there fighting for the environment for quite some time. And we're going to have a conversation with him about our environment, our carbon credits. What does he think about it? Is it real? Is it not real? What should we do as it relates to that? And so we're going to have real conversations. It's going to take us to another level. I'm tired of the back and forth. And like I said, Fred Mitchell had a meeting with his people, and he told all of them, listen, we can't win against the COI as it relates to the conversation about natural resources, et cetera, or immigration and those stuff. We need to just throw mud and distract everybody. Go in the groups, and you will see in the groups now, they're not talking about these ideas and how we can go forward. They're now having regressive conversation about who is this and who that and who look like this and who look like that and who's sleeping with who. And these conversations, we can't have that. Our country is in peril, and we have to wake up. Spend this time waking up your family and your friends. Talk to them. Don't give up on them. Don't give up on them. We can't give up on our country. If we don't win this election, I mean the Bahamian people, not COI, if we don't win this election coming up, we are done. It's over. That's it. And so we can let the F&M come back and continue what they was doing before. We can the PLP continue, and where are we going to end up? We need real Bahamians who want real solutions to wake up and have a country and meritocracy. And so this was a good wetting of the palate for you. Greg, I want to thank you for having the courage to do this. Many people don't have the courage to come out and just give information, give knowledge. People don't have the courage to do that.
You know, I would encourage other business owners and Bahamian people to not be political, but come and discuss the solutions and ideas, because you may present an idea that someone could take and run with and make incredible money, and that would stimulate and help the Bahamas. Because what we seem to be doing is, like you said, just attacking each other, and they've divided us perfectly in 50 years to do that, instead of trying to educate us and bring the place together and fix it. But it's fine. You know, if you and I wanted to control something and benefit from it, we would tell the people that you're my enemy, and we'd fight. And then we'll set them up to fight each other while you and I benefited from resources, carbon credit, whatever. And it's been done and executed quite well. It's time to let's come together and fix the place for Bahamians. And as you said, if we don't, well, we'll have to suffer what happens. Anyway.
All right.
You have a good one.
Thank you so much to all of you who tuned into this. Thank you for those who called, who tuned in. I know you all never want us to end, but we got a life too. We gotta tend our children and get things done. We're going to do this for our country. We're going to continue to do this. All right. Support the movement, ladies and gentlemen. Support what it is that we are doing. We need to have a better country. And so these are the QR codes. Click on the link that you see on the screen or scan the QR codes, and you can donate directly to the party. That's GoFundMe, and on our website, the direct link. You can use these links to donate to the party. Just like the F&M have in their rally, raffle, we have in our raffle. We got to raise money. All parties got to raise money. The PLP has the carnival every year that they can make money from. And that's why I stopped going to the carnival, because I'm not supporting the parties that have been destroying this country. And so they make 50% of the income from that. We got to support what we're doing. Remember to come to the COI headquarters next week. It's starting from 7 a.m. To support us in our soup and sauce day, et cetera, et cetera. All right. And so stay tuned with our Facebook pages. If you're not getting the notifications when I go live, because some of you take long to come on because you don't get it, remove the notification and put it back. Refresh it so that you can start to get it again. Because they're blocking you getting the notification. Otherwise, just remember, I go live every Sunday, 5 o'clock, and you could watch it live or watch it afterwards. So, Graham, I thank you. We are going to fix this country. We should have free electricity already. We should be able to afford solar. All right. I don't, to be honest with you, I don't use internet from this country. All right. I'm using Starlink, and I'll recommend that to anybody. um, and is much faster and much better than what we're getting here. And you don't have all these issues. Um, I don't have cable TV, et cetera, et cetera. I use IPTV, and then I have all the channels and all the movies and everything else. That's what I do because we don't have good services.
Well,
Just like our
you remember
yeah,
that you used to be cutting in and out. People couldn't hear you, and it was
yeah,
and tonight it's been seamless. So
yeah, yeah. And so
competition is
I
good.
yeah, I use Starlink, and that's what I will continue to use. Like I said, I don't even use cable TV. The service is bad. Everyone is complaining. You're getting these funny channels. I don't do that. I use IPTV. And if anyone want to know how to get Starlink, or you want to know how to get IPTV, contact me, and I'll get you straight. All right. If you want to know how to do solar and that kind of stuff, you contact Graham. All right. But we have to do what we have to do to make it better for us in the meantime. Oh Lord, this person just calling in, but it's time for me to go. So see y'all next week. It's Super Bowl, so I'm going to go live at 4 p.m. I'm going to put an ad out there. So 4 p.m. next week, I'm going live because the Super Bowl starts at 6:30. So I'm going live at 4, and my show will probably only be about an hour. And so I'm going live at 4 next week. And I'm going to have Kimsey Ferguson on. So remember, 4 o'clock next week, not 5. But then you watch it later, then you watch it later. But thank you all for tuning in. We love you. God bless you. We're going to continue to fight for our one country because it's all we have. But we're going to use what they never thought that we could have, Graham. And that's this thing up here. Ignorance is power, y'all. We can't let them continue to overpower us. Thank you, Graham. Good night,
All right.
and good night, Bahamas.